Well, the remnants of Ida continue to churn northward, leaving widespread power outages in Louisiana and Mississippi. I mean, look at all the damage here.
Yeah, so far 2 deaths have been confirmed. Yeah, that devastation. Officials fear the death toll could be much higher. And this morning, our Evan Noorani and photojournalist Julio Vasquez join us from outside New Orleans with a look at the damage. And Evan, this damage is widespread. It's intensive. And look at all that water you're standing in.
That's right. Good morning to both of you, Stella, Eric. We're 2 hours ahead here just outside of New Orleans, and we've seen as the day has begun, people coming out looking for gas in many cases, looking to get back to their homes after they evacuated and now are returning for the first time in some cases, having to drive through this nearly knee-deep water to get back to their homes for many of the streets here in Laplace. Laplace is one of the suburbs just about 25 minutes or so outside of New Orleans, and so far, still about 1 million people without power in this area. Officials are urging residents around here, if they are not, if they have evacuated, they should remain where they are. They're not suggested that they come back to their home as it still is without power, as utility crews are still trying to repair those power lines that have in some cases been torn down. And so this is still a very active situation, although the storm has passed. In some cases, this is now more of a situation than when the storm did pass, because when that storm passed through, those officials told people who chose to stay in their homes that they were going to have to wait for those emergency services to be able to come. Your Tuesday, it was really Sunday, Monday, and today that utility crews have been out, emergency services have been out, helping people who needed to be rescued, mainly on about Sunday and into early Monday. They say they rescued about 800 people around the Laplace area in the suburban region. We've seen some areas where gas is finally available once again to these residents, and in many cases, they're willing to wait hours in line. 40, 50, 60 cars in line just to fill up on a full tank of gas. So although the storm has passed and we're back to about partly cloudy conditions, incredibly hot out here, there is still a lot to do here. There is recovery work in terms of utility services. They say although people are without power, that estimated 1 million people without power, that they could be without power for about 3 weeks at this point. But again, Stella, Eric, we've talked about how well this turned out in terms of the life-saving efforts. Only 2 people were killed in this. That is, of course, in comparison to the thousands that died over the course of Hurricane Katrina. So although some people have compared the wind speeds and the flooding to Katrina, that life, number of people who lost their lives is not even comparable because of the life-saving efforts that people took in order to get people evacuated ahead of this storm that approached rather quickly. And of course, now as people return to their homes, trying to get those utilities back on. And you can even see here, off to my left-hand side, this is the National Guard coming through to some of these gas stations and to some of the homeowners as well. They're bringing boats with them. So we've been seeing this really all morning long.
The cavalry has arrived.
Some of the gas stations where there is the possibility of looting, for example. We had seen a lot of National Guard troops that were stationed and just kind of holding tight around some of those gas stations. Now they're approaching what look to be some of the homes around this area, bringing those boats with them in order to be able to potentially help those homeowners out. Stella and Eric.
Yeah, this is great to see. Of course, this is nothing new for the region. You mentioned Katrina, millions of dollars spent on the levees, which held up.
Yeah, so that was a big thing that we mentioned, as you talked about. So really, in terms of the levees, they invested billions of dollars over the course of the last 16 years. Remember, Ida fell on the 16-year anniversary of Katrina, and in those 16 years, they invested hundreds of billions of dollars, is the estimate, toward the levee protection. So, reinvesting in that infrastructure, as well as the technology to be able to pump some of that water out into the outlying areas or back into the rivers, for example. And they say that this hurricane really was the test to be able to see if this was going to properly function, if they had put in place enough of that infrastructure to be able to protect people much better than, say, 6-10 feet, for example.
Right.
But there is still some flooding around here. People still unable to get to their homes in some cases, or having to drive through with some of those high-profile vehicles.
Yeah, just looking up here, it looks like more than 5,200 National Guard members, like the ones we just saw there behind you, are headed there to help out. Like you mentioned, there's everything from looting to saving lives, and they are going to have some busy days ahead for them as well, as they arrived right during your live shot there.